Here's what I wanted to do first off. This is one of my favorite pictures. As you saw, it was the background that I have on my computer. And I want you guys to take a stab at what this is. There's definitely some hints, maybe somewhat enigmatic. Yeah, Patty.
Is that the galaxy or the super galaxies?
Yeah, kind of. Actually, that little pinpoint that you see, that's Earth from the surface of Mars. From the Mars Lander rover. And I bring that up because I kind of want to put us in that mindset this morning of thinking how absolutely abnormal normal really is. You know, if we were a Martian, if we were able to come and travel to Earth, and let's say you had to report back to your Martian overlord what humans were like, and you described them anatomically, you described them physically, but then you had to describe their social behavior, what kind of descriptors would you use? What would that description be like? And it's easy for us to think about that in terms of dog behavior, cat behavior, ant behavior, bird behavior, different calls, different grunts, different migrations and things like that. But how would you describe the behavior of a human?
Social.
Yeah, incredibly social, perhaps even eusocial. I mean, if a Martian were to come down and they were to look at some of the big cities in the world, like New York, like Tokyo, like Sydney, Australia, like Johannesburg, South Africa, something like that, they would describe and see this incredible level of cooperation that is unparalleled in any other species. The fact that we cooperate on so many different levels, that we take such incredible care of our children, of our relatives, our extended family, of raising kids in proper education, and being able to, this building right here, how many people do you think were actually involved in the building of this? If you were to count, not just in the local area, but also all the materials, we're talking about potentially tens of thousands of people to make the paint, to harvest the chemicals that made the paint, to harvest the wood, the metal, to melt down the metal, to be able to build every single part of this. If you stop and think about that, or even have simple thoughts like, you know, you're a grocery store. We're supposed to eat local because it's healthier. But if you don't, and even if you do, how many hands has that grocery passed through? There's such an enmeshed, unbelievable level of complexity to our social relationships that we don't often think about because it's so normal, because it's so everyday, so mundane. But it's unbelievable that humans are so involved in each other's lives. Like, why do we do funny things like this? Why do people hold open doors for each other? Complete stranger, you'll probably never see them again. Their opinion of you matters little to zilch. Why do we do it? Why do we do funny things like donate blood? Literally giving up your life, a part of yourself, in order to help another person. Why do we have things that are possible like Wikipedia? People donating literally hundreds of thousands of man hours, if not more, for no personal gain other than the satisfaction of it. Why do people give in the way that they do? Why is charity hundreds of billions of dollar industry every single year, if not far more than that? Why do we do things like feel guilt? Why are we so horrified at injustices like 9/11? Why did that touch us to the core? How many people here actually, Lord forbid, know somebody that actually died in the Twin Towers or in these planes? Probably nobody, but I bet everyone here could raise their hand by being incredibly affected by that. Even President on down, that very much colored their decisions. So how is it that we have such a powerful and universal sense of right and wrong? To quote C.S. Lewis, who was using this kind of in a different context, but nonetheless heuristic, think of a country where people were admired for running away in battle. Think of a country where people were admired for running away in battle. Think of a place where a man could feel proud for double-crossing all the people that had been kindest to him. Lewis said, you might as well try to imagine a country where 2 and 2 made 5. It's just not possible. But why is it that humans are so nice? Why is it that we go out of our ways in so many thousands of instances every single day for the betterment of another person? Why is it that we're so moral? Or put really simple, why are we so nice? I wanted to spend the first few minutes on that question because it really should hit you, because there was a guy that it did hit really hard. Oh, I don't have that picture. I might have the wrong slide up. But Darwin understood the gravity of this question. And he said that if it could be shown that an organism was acting against its own best interests, and instead in the interest of the group or others, that you could completely dismiss his entire theory. Does that make sense? You guys?
Say it one more time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, say that again.
If Darwin said, he gave certain, like any good scientist, gave certain conditions under which his theory of natural selection could be rejected. He said, if it could be shown that an individual would act against its own best interests, but instead the interest of others, altruism, that his theory could be dismissed, completely thrown out. So how is it, I go back to that same question, how is it that we're so nice? Does that contradict Darwinism? Is that the biggest enigma in biology today? How is it that we are so nice? During the 19th century, that was a huge, huge question, a really big dilemma that people wrestled with. And then a lot of really great scientists come from that. So, moving on.
Can we go back for a second?
Yeah.
Because the person in combat may very well act against his or her own self-preservation
Yes.
in order to preserve the people around them.
Yeah.
Now, how does that fit in there?
Well, yeah, I think that's what these 2 weeks are going to be about. This week is going to kind of be an overview. It's going to give us some principles in order to be able to think about this kind of thing. And then next week is when I'm going to get really excited. We're going to talk more about the timeline of what that looks like, and lots of pictures and things like that.
The Army uses an attachment to a brother. They create a false attachment to this person they've stuck you beside.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
they work on that attachment.
Yeah, the short answer is that it is, well, it depends on whose perspective we're looking from. Are we looking from our own or from our genes? And that's a really big difference. But some people would object, hey, it's just cultural. People are nice because of culture. People are nice because of how that they were raised, because they had really wonderful parents like my own. Lucy Gay and Mercer are in the front row. Or religion. Religion is the thing that restrains us from being nothing more than beasts, from doing nothing more than wiping each other out in the nuclear holocaust or whatever. But David sent me this awesome link that I think is incredibly relevant, so I wanted to talk about. Yale University did this study with babies, and they took them, and it's this 1-year-old children, and they took two puppets, and these puppets were playing this game with the ball, and they were passing this ball back and forth, and they were having a really good time. And then one of the puppets grabbed the ball and very dramatically made like kind of an evil laugh cackle, and then ran off with the ball. Ruined the game, took the ball from the other player. The other puppet kind of hung his head, he was real sad. And what do you think that their children's reaction was? And then the next step in the experiment was they took these babies, these puppets, and they put pieces of candy in their hands. And then later presented these puppets to these 1-year-old children and asked them which candy, they could have one candy, which candy would they take, which puppet would they take the candy from? Am I explaining that clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think the baby did? Almost unanimously, the children would take it from the bad puppet. And anecdotally, one of these 1-year-old boys actually took his fist, balled it up, and bopped the bad puppet on the top of the head.
But still took the candy.
And still took the candy from